Wake up every night and have severe nightmares. She would cry, she was scared, and this would happen repetitively every night. Her mother got so concerned that she took her to a psychiatrist. The psychiatrist got so concerned that he took her dreams to the police, because her dreams were dreams of someone murdering someone. And she had a description of the murderer that was really, really accurate. When the police looked into this, they actually found the murderer. The interesting thing is, this little girl had a heart transplant, and it happened to be the heart of the girl that was murdered. So our heart, really, there's more to it than meets the eye. There's also something called the spark of life.
Yes.
And this spark of life is when a 5-week-old fetus, a 5-week-old fetus is the size of a sesame seed. So if you've ever had a sesame seed bun or a sesame seed bagel, you realize just how small that is. And the spark of life is when that little baby's heart just instantly starts to beat. There's nothing in our electrical system that causes this heart to beat. It just beats all on its own. You have doctors and scientists who just can't figure out how it starts to beat. It's miraculous. I guess they don't know who our God is. They don't know that He's King of Kings and Lord of Lords, the great I am, the pearl of great price. And when God says that heart starts to beat, that's when it starts to beat.
Yes.
And all the science and technology that we have, they can't figure it out. Because He's the one that holds that little baby's heart in His hands.
Hallelujah.
And I love that it's called the spark of life. Now, in creation, when we were first created, we all started out with a very good heart. It was meant to be that way. But then when sin entered into the world, our hearts were marred with sin. So I think it's safe to say that we all need a little heart surgery.
Yes, yes.
Luke chapter 6, verse 45 says, "A good man out of the good treasure of his heart brings forth good. And an evil man out of the evil treasure of his heart brings forth evil. For out of the abundance of the heart the mouth speaks." I found that really interesting because so often I think that in our mind is what we think and say. But God's word is saying that the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. Matthew 15, 18, and 19 says, "But those things which proceed out of the mouth come from the heart, and they defile a man. For out of the heart proceed evil thoughts, murderers, adulterers, fornications, thefts, false witnesses, and blasphemies." So if we have a heart that's sticking in our body, then we're capable of all these things.
That's right.
Which is kind of scary a little bit, you know, that we're capable of murdering, we're capable of fornication, we're capable of evil thoughts, adultery. There's nothing evil that we're not capable of as long as we have a heart that's inside of us. But the Bible says that, but it also gives us the solution to our problems.
Hallelujah.
Every time, you know, something happens in our life, if we look through that word, God will give us the answer for everything we need in our life. And Proverbs 4:23 says, "Keep your heart with all diligence, for out of it spring the issues of life." Another version says, "Guard your heart." So what does it mean to really guard our hearts? Because our hearts are the inner core of who we are. There are thoughts, our feelings, our desires, our wills. So if our heart is all that, then we make decisions based on that.
That's right.
And if we make decisions based on that, and our heart isn't really connected to God, then our decisions are going to be wrong. And if we're not following the way God wants us to follow Him, we're going to make decisions based on our feelings and not on what God wants for us in our life. And then what happens is we do that and we mess it all up. And then we say, God, why are you allowing this to happen? But really, God isn't allowing it to happen. We did it to ourselves because we didn't listen in the first place. And that's what we have to do if we want to have peace in our lives. A small testimony is when I was going through like the toughest time in my life, it was a divorce. And, you know, when you go through stuff as a woman, you'll get by. You know, you just tough it up. Big girl panties on, I like to say. But when you see your children going through something, that's a totally different thing. Because now you're hurting someone that is dear to me, and, you know, don't mess with them. So when I was going through this tough time, I was doing everything that God wanted me to do. I was not going out with friends who had invited me to drink. I wasn't going out with people who said, you know, you want to maybe smoke a joint with me. I met guys who had different ideas because I was celibate and they wanted more than that. And I'm praying the whole time, but what happens is when you're going through your trials and your tribulations, there's a little voice in your ear called the enemy, the devil, who says, why are you doing it that way anyway? Because it's not working that way. You're praying, you're praying, you're praying, and everything you're praying for is not happening. You're praying that bills are getting paid, but they're not getting paid. You're praying that your children won't be angry, but they are angry. You're praying that they don't drink and they get drunk every night. So why are you even going this route? Why do you even bother? Because the enemy says, he doesn't hear anything you're saying. None of your prayers are getting heard. They're not getting answered. So why do you even bother? But the enemy's here to rob, kill, and destroy. And he wants to make sure that you don't make it through that trial. Because when you do make it through that trial, he knows there's a blessing at the end of it. And he knows that if you make it through the end, something changes. Something changes in your heart. Because when you know that it's not working, you're talking to him every day. And you say, God, I don't understand. God, I can't make it. You're going to get me through this day? And you're forming a relationship with him. And it was then that something changed and switched in my heart. And if you stay there long enough, then you end up having this relationship with him, and you actually end up falling in love with him. And you fall in love with him in a way that nobody else matters. You love him more than your mother, your father, your brother, your sister, your husband, your wife, your children. You love him more than that because he's all that matters. And when that happens, that little voice in your head doesn't bother you anymore. You turn around and say, I'm sorry, you have to leave. You can't stay here anymore. And then you start making decisions that are based on what God would have you to do and not what the enemy would have you to do. King David had it right because he was a man after God's own heart. And I feel like David was a man after God's own heart because he was in sync with God's heart. I have the definition of being in sync. To adjust, correct, set, alter, regulate as to achieve accuracy or conform to a standard. He conformed to God's standard. Doing God's will is conforming to his standard. When you're out of sync, things do not match. They don't happen together as they should. And that's such a good example of what happens in our lives. They don't happen as they should because we're not really relying on God for things to go the way that he wants it to go, because he wants the best for us. And sometimes we don't realize that when we're going through trials and tribulations, because it feels like he's not there for us. But then after it's over, after my trial was over, I sat in church one day and cried like a baby because I knew that he had carried me and loved me through it all.
Yes, yes, thank you, God.
3:16. I have some verses because I want to back up with what I'm saying with Scripture. Ephesians 3:16 says that he would grant you according to riches of his glory to be strengthened with might through the Spirit in the inner man. And you see that connection of that inner man? It's more than just knowing him. It's a deeper part of our hearts that has to find him, not just that outside part of our heart.
Yes. Praise the Lord. Hallelujah. Thank you, Lord. Thank you, God. He's worthy. He's worthy. Hallelujah.
Psalms 5:16 says, behold, you desire truth in the inward parts, and in the hidden part you will make me to know wisdom. Psalms 139:13 says, for you formed my inward parts, you covered me in my mother's womb. I found something real interesting when I was studying the heart, looking into the heart. I realized that the heart has 3 layers to it, which was really surprising to me. I didn't know that. The first layer is the epicardium. The second layer is the myocardium. And the third layer is the endocardium. I also realized that the tabernacle has 3 sections. So I kind of said to myself, you know, God doesn't make mistakes, because it says in Psalms that he formed us in our inward parts. And it was amazing to me that there was 3 sections of the tabernacle and 3 layers of the heart. So the first layer of the heart, I'm going to say, is our flesh. And the first section of the tabernacle, the outer part, was where flesh and all that was sacrificed. Now the middle section of our heart, I'm going to say, is our spirit. And the middle section of the tabernacle was when all the, what do you call it, all the, we lost the word, but when all the lighting of the incense, you know, all the things were performed there. And then you have the holies of holies, which is the inner part of the tabernacle where God and his Holy Spirit reside.
Yes.
So that third layer, the endocardium, is referred to as the inner part of your heart when you look at it. And God often refers to that innermost man, that innermost part of us. Now, Jeremiah 29:13 says, you will seek me and find me when you search for me with all your heart. Some verses pop out at you more than others. And this was a verse, when I read it, I said, okay, God, you said that if I search you with all my heart, I'll find you. And I remember saying to him, how do you do that? I don't understand really, you know, how you do that. I said, can you let me know what that really means? For the women of Shiloh, forgive me because I have told this story before, but this is God telling me to say it. So he brought me to remembrance in my mind of a time when I went to the food store with my first son, Justin. I came home, and it was, every time it was the same thing. We would come home, I would take him out of his car seat, we would take the grocery bags out of the car, he would follow me in the house, he would run upstairs, get his toys, and come back down. By the time I had all the groceries out of the car, he would be downstairs playing with his toys. So this time, same thing happened. Took my bags, went to the house, Justin went upstairs to get his toys, went back out to get my bags, came back in the house, He wasn't downstairs yet. And I said, okay, where is he? So I went upstairs, calling his name, Justin, Justin, where are you? I had 3 bedrooms to look in, a laundry room, 2 bathrooms, under beds, closets, nowhere to be found. I came downstairs, and I'm hollering at him again. I said, Justin, where are you? And I'm downstairs, I'm looking in a bathroom, a living room, a family room, kitchen, dining room, closets. And I'm thinking to myself, where is this child? You know, I saw him go upstairs. And when you talk about searching for something with all your heart and all your soul, I was searching with all my heart for my son. So now I'm getting frantic. And I'm thinking to myself, there's no way he went outside. So I couldn't find him in the house, so my next resort was to go outside. I went outside, and I said, I was hollering for him, Justin, Justin, Justin. And I was hollering so loud that my neighbor to the left of me came out, and she said, Dwayne, what's the matter? I said, I can't find Justin. You know, she's hollering his name. Then my neighbor to the right of me comes out, and she said, what's the matter? I said, I can't find Justin. Now she's hollering his name. We're all hollering his name up and down the street. I come up my driveway, I go down the street a little bit, and I hear my neighbor saying, Joanne, I found him. He's in the backyard playing on the swings. So now that first layer of my heart knew that someone had found him. Just like that first layer of our heart knows that God exists. But I wasn't really right yet, because it didn't penetrate to that second part of my heart yet. Now the second part of my heart saw him walking around the front of the house with my neighbor. She had him by his hand. And that second part of that heart went a little deeper, because I said to myself, oh, okay, now I see him. And that second part of our heart has to go that next step further with God. That second part of our heart has to open that Bible, has to read His Word, has to become a friend to Him, and has to hear Him.
Hallelujah.
Now, I still wasn't right yet, because that inner man, that deep inner part of my heart, didn't really find me yet in a way. Because until I grabbed him, put him in my arms, walked across the street, got him in my house, locked the door, they knew he was mine, that was the inner part of my heart that kicked in. And that's the inner part of the heart that finds God. That's the inner part of the heart that falls in love with Him. That's the level that he talks about, that inner man, that innermost part of our heart. And that's the part that Psalms 139 talks about. It said that for you formed my inward parts. You answered me. You formed me in my mother's womb. And I believe that God wants us to reach out for Him in that inner part of our hearts. Because that's the only time you're going to really, really find Him and really fall in love with Him. And I thank Him for that example, because before that, I wasn't sure what it really meant to look for Him with all my heart and all my soul. And how many of us really search for Him that way? Some of us search for Him that way only when we're going through trials and tribulations. And we can't find Him enough. But we have to find Him when we're not going through anything. We have to search for Him fervently that way, because that's the only way He says we're going to find Him.
Amen. Hallelujah.
I asked Ken to sing a song for us, just to kind of meditate on what it means to fall in love with Jesus. So I just ask that you'll open your hearts and just think about that inner place where you want Him to come in and really, really be Lord of your life.